Hey! Okay, let's learn how to take the grid from the iPad and put it on the paper. The number one thing to do is to make sure that the rectangle you draw here matches the rectangle on here. They've got to be the same shape. This one is probably going to be bigger than this one. And I've seen some of you actually, instead of drawing on paper, some of you are drawing on a wall in your house and you're going to make a mural, which is cool. Although you might want to practice one time on paper before you do it on your wall, but you can draw on anything you can find. If the biggest thing you can find is a piece of computer printer paper, that's okay too. So, find the longest straight edge you have in the house. Maybe you have a yardstick, maybe you have a long ruler. If not, you might have to use something like a computer keyboard and use that to draw your rectangle. You want to make sure that these lines are parallel to the top of your page. That way they'll be nice and vertical and horizontal. So I'm going to start by drawing just a giant L. I'm really just going to focus on making these lines parallel to the edge of the paper. Now I've got to make a decision. How far over do I go for my ruler to make sure that this rectangle will be the same shape as this one? I think about here. So I'm going to draw this line and eyeball it. No, I couldn't see the edge of my paper that time, so I moved my ruler so that I can see the edge of my paper. And now the fourth line is really what will determine if this rectangle is the same as this one. Where should I go? Like here? Now here, here? Think about there. Now if eyeballing it like this is just kind of gross for you because you want to be exact, and this doubly goes if you're doing a mural on a wall, then you can do this the mathematical way. For the mathematical way, you go to your iPad, click on Canvas and Canvas information. You can see what the size is. This is 15.5 by 11.6. It's inches, but I don't really care if it's inches. I just care about these two numbers themselves, and here's why. I can double these, I can halve these. As long as I do the same thing to both of these numbers in a multiplication or division way, then my new rectangle will be the same shape. For example, I can double these numbers so that 15.5 becomes 31. That's 15.5 times 2. And 11.6 times 2 is 23.2. Now, my new rectangle, if I make it 31 by 23.2, it'll be the same shape as the original rectangle. I could also just take each numbers and divide them in half. 15.5 divided by 2 is 7.75. 11.6 divided by 2 is 5.8. So that's them halved. And then I can make my new rectangle 7.75 inches by 5.8 inches. Oh, I can make it 7.75 miles by 5.8 miles. I can change the units, but as long as I use these numbers or some other combination, like you can triple them and then do the math to see what these are tripled. 46.5 by 34.8. So regardless, that's the mathematical way to do it, and then you can just measure that out on the paper if you want. Now, once you have your rectangle, it's the same steps to make the grid here as you did here. However, it's a little bit trickier because you don't have Procreate to make your lines perfectly vertical and horizontal, which means you're going to have to do it yourself. Now, just like before, you want to try to find the diagonals. So let me find my corner here first. And the diagonals will tell you the dead center of this rectangle. If you want to try it another way, if you want to like measure this out and divide it by 2, you can, but what we did in class and what I found is easiest is to find your diagonals. Now let's say that you don't have something that's long enough to go all the way across, then you can break it up into 2s. For example, if I have to use my keyboard or something like that, then I'll just do my best to aim, or maybe I'll kind of rig up my own long thing by taking 2 shorter things and putting them together like this until I find the very corners. And then, yeah, what do you think? Does that look about right? I think it does. Super light, unless you really like erasing. You want to keep these lines super duper light. And there, I just found the middle. Cool. Then I would continue to draw the actual grid. Really important with these first lines to make sure your rulers are parallel to the rest of the page. I think it is. Cool. And then I'll go this. Oh, I missed a little bit. Man. Hey, I found some more kneaded eraser, guys, at the house. Alright, so make sure this line goes across. And at this point, if you feel really comfortable making the grid, you could probably just skip ahead to the part of the video where I'm finished with this. Or you can keep watching. Now I'm going to find the middle of this rectangle. Super light, oh so light. And then if I put my ruler closer to the edge, I can make more certain. I can be more certain that my ruler really is vertical. And that my ruler really is horizontal for this part. Okay. Yes. A lot of times if a student messes up one of these lines or makes a line that isn't, that's a little bit crooked, then that mistake will kind of carry over into the rest of it. So you want to really be careful here to make sure that, double check that your ruler is parallel to the edge of the paper. If you want somebody to help you with this, you can. Maybe ask somebody to watch you make these lines and say, make sure that my lines are horizontal and vertical for my grid, please. Cool. So at this stage, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to divide each of these in half so that I have 8. To do this, I once again find the diagonal, and then line up my ruler. Make sure these are perfectly vertical. Cool. And I'm going to go and start labeling. That's H and G. Then I'm going to do these two. Or actually, I'm going to go across like this. Make sure the ruler is parallel to the top. It is now. Cool. Then, right here, I can see this must be the middle of this rectangle where the diagonal crosses here. So, parallel to the side. Cool. And then I've got A and B right here. And then I can keep going, right here. And really you just look for any place where a diagonal line crosses a horizontal or vertical line, and that's where you can add more lines. And now I've got 8 and 7. There's one. Sometimes I tell kids they can just eyeball this, but then what happens is sometimes they'll end up with like 9 rows or 9 columns somehow. So let's see what's next. E, F is next. And up here now I've got 1 and 2. I didn't realize that. So keep following along here. We're almost done. I'm sure you're ready to actually draw something interesting besides a grid. 3 and 4. But this is a fun challenge. It might take you, and there's nothing wrong if you have to do your grid a couple of times. That is okay. Oh man, I was a little bit off here. I'm just going to run with it. I'm going to run with it. Because I think that's okay. I think maybe this one was actually off. Sometimes it's hard to tell, isn't it? Especially because I'm multitasking and talking to you while I'm doing it. 5, 6, bang! There we go. I got A through H. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm ready to actually draw this onto here. When you actually start drawing, start with the easiest tile first. For example, and let me go ahead and number these things. So A, B,
C, D, E, F, G, H. Really, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So
the simplest tile for me would be, what is this? 3H. So I go to 3H and then I just connect the dots. A dot here and a dot here. Find 3H on here. Do the same sort of thing. This is a little bit below the halfway point on this line, about there. This one is really close to the edge, and I've got my first grid. Cool. Don't forget, for more complicated things, for example, with this one right here, you're going to want to take a grid within a grid. So just a quick little line here and line here. And then I'll do the same sort of thing. This is what, D3. So get a D3. And then I can kind of see where more things intersect my grid. Dot there, dot here, there, and the touches right there. So I got to draw this finger. Actually, I'm going to put my dot there to make it easier. Then when I go to draw the finger, I see what it looks like. Also, don't forget the biggest thing when you're drawing is to don't think about what you're drawing. Just see the shape. For example, it's hard to draw a fingernail, but it's not hard to draw that. Like if I just asked you to draw like a little pocket, you could totally draw a little pocket. You just got to not see a fingernail and only see the little pocket. And if I asked you to draw a fingernail, that'd be kind of tough. But if I asked you to draw whatever that is, it looks like maybe, I don't know, like a peach or something, or a hamburger, a tilted hamburger. If I asked you to draw like a tilted hamburger, you'd probably do a better job than if you're trying to draw an actual fingernail. So draw a little tilted hamburger if you need to. So go in, draw those tilted hamburgers and other kinds of shapes, and keep going until you've got a beautiful grid drawing. Of course, before you add the final details, make sure you erase your grid before you really get into finishing your picture. These are all the things we talked about in class with our Shrek practice drawing, so I can't wait to see you do them for yourselves there. Alright, I think that's it. Email me with any questions, and you've got all week to work on your grid drawings. So however you finish them is up to you. You can paint, you can draw, whatever art supplies you have at your house. Go for it. And I can't wait to see them. Post them in the discussion board if you'd like, so we can all see what we're up to. All right. Oh, and finally, don't think that you have to stick with the photo exactly. If you wanted to change the background of the picture so that some like one student's already replaced the background of the picture with a beautiful sunset. If you want to replace different parts of your picture with other things, do that. At the end of the day, it's art, and this is a useful skill to learn how to replicate a picture. But at some point, what makes it really special is the creative decisions you make. So have fun with it. All right. I'll look forward to seeing them. Bye. Email with any questions.